The Serra Padres have won the WCAL title with a 10-0 record. They're on to their next journey, the Road to State 2022. Well, hello and welcome to the Serra High School podcast, football podcast. We are in a new phase of our podcast today, which is awesome because now we go from just the regular season podcast to the Road to State 2022. Yeah. Very exciting time. Welcome, head coach Patrick Walsh. You've done something that nobody else has done here again. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was funny. My family is always the biggest critic of us. And my wife was like, no one's ever gone undefeated at Serra before? And I said, well, actually, yes. She goes, well, what's the big deal? Why is everyone all fired up? And Charlie's getting involved. And I said, look, no one's gone 10-0 before in a year.
Big deal,
But people have gone 9-0 before. Like, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
But 10-0 is a big deal. It's
I know,
really big deal. It's hard enough to win the WCAL in general, but then to go with your 3 preseason games and
totally.
And again, we should mention that nobody's scored more than 7 points either, right? In the last 7 games.
I think so.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, that speaks to our defense, of course, which we talk about all the time.
Yep.
Before we move on, I just want to point out your brother's contribution to our podcast. Thank you, Chris Walsh, for these. We've eliminated the yearbooks. That we're pretty tall for this table, but maybe we're a little short. So thank you for the help with the mics.
My brother was like, what stands are you using? Like, yeah, we're using a yearbook from 1954. He goes, well, there's other things you can use. And he works for Office Relief, and he sent out over these things. So thank you, Christo. I know he's a loyal listener. But anyone else out there that just wants to give us free stuff, we'll take it. We'll take it.
We clearly care about the content. Rosie cares about the equipment, and so does Chris. So thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, really exciting time. I thank you for your time. I know you're very busy preparing for what's sure to be a very, it's going to be a very difficult next couple of weeks, and
Absolutely.
Certainly 1 week at a time, as you've always said. Yeah. We're now ranked 7th in the state. Last week we had a lovely win against Sacred Heart Cathedral, as you know, with a final score of 43-7. Yeah. Would you tell us about the first play of the game? It was just an amazing trick play, and I'd love to relive it.
So we don't like to call them trick plays.
Sorry.
I'm not.
Tricked me. Shocker.
Okay, good. You're right. It might trick some people, and maybe it tricked the other team, but Coach Bell has always been a fan of shot plays. Plays that we can take advantage of that are a little bit unique, but trick plays makes it seem like it's something that you pulled out of somewhere, and there's a plan behind it. There's thought behind it. Obviously, Michael Perazzo is one of our great baseball players here at Serra.
And proving to be a great football player as well.
Exactly. He plays football, basketball, baseball. He's kind of in the line of the great Damon Lewis here, just a multi-sport athlete who and hasn't played much this year. Has played on special teams, had some returns for us, but he's got a great arm, as you can see.
Sure. Number 30, right?
Number 30. Yep. And he played some quarterback last year. He's working his way into playing quarterback here now. I mean, you never know. And he just threw a perfect pass to Chucky, and it was a great way to start, that week 10.
It was awesome. It was the first touchdown, right, to McGovern, you said, and It was great. It certainly set the tone of the game. Yeah. And, the fans were going wild. It was so much fun just to watch that. And again, there were some nerves going into the game. We talked about SHC bringing it, and they tried to. It was a very gritty game. There was a lot of tension on the field, as you saw throughout the game. But let's talk a little bit about the shining moments. We had touchdowns from Jay Webb, Gil Martin, Jabari Mann, Jay Green, Judy A. Closed out the first half with an amazing 39-yard kick. I mean, it was just not just about these players. I mean, that was, and then of course we had Malachi Gastrock on his birthday and senior day, and he got so much play in the second half, which was really fun to see as well. Yeah. His parents were so excited. They're the nicest family.
They are great. They're great and very supportive, and I'm very happy for everyone that you mentioned. And I think this is a good time to review our goals.
Thank you.
That and I know, like, my brother's interested in it, so that means Christopher and everyone else is interested in this. So I'm just going to keep giving it to people.
Please, no, it's very interesting.
So. I'll start here. All right. So special teams went 4 for 4. So the first goal is 75% kickoff at the 25 or less. We were 7 for 7. DJ's been kicking the ball so well all year, Dylan. The average start point for the other team was the 20-yard line. The ball's in the end zone, touchbacks. It's just, I can't tell you enough how much I love Dylan, how much I love a kicker who can kick it 61 yards on a kickoff. It is just an absolute weapon. And to see that happening, and Dylan's getting his timing down, and he's been doing all year, getting that ball in the end zone. He is like your nephew, or like Damon Lewis, just kicking the ball is a defensive MVP, because now the other team, against a really good defense, we've proved over 10 games, has to go 80 yards, as opposed to a kickoff return coming out, miss a tackle, next thing you know, they got to go 50 yards. It's just a total different world.
Can I interrupt you for 1 sec, though? Because last year, and the name is escaping me, it starts with a G. Who was our kicker last year? It's escaping me.
Galindo,
thank you. I could see it, but I couldn't remember it. But, you've had you had a lot of success with kickers. Who's coaching the kickers?
Coach Ortiz is our special teams coordinator. Coach Linda McGee has kicking experience, so he's involved. And God, I think a lot of it's just fate.
But it is kind of, it's kind of rare to always have. We've become reliant on a really consistent kicker, which we see in the NFL. It's not always consistent.
It's not consistent.
So it's pretty remarkable. So anyway, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
It's a great point, and we have had that tradition of. We have 800 and some boys in the school, and one of them's got to be able to kick at 61 yards. So future Padres.
Pressure's on soccer players.
Just if you can line up and kick at 61 yards, you're on the team. You've made the team. It's all you got to do. Just show up on games. We're good.
Awesome.
Net punt. Oh, by the way, we've gotten that kickoff goal 9 out of 10 games.
Dylan, awesome.
Yep. And then in our kickoff coverage team, which is a bunch of guys out there that are bottom of the fire guys. Average net punt, 32.5 yards. We punted the ball one time for 45 yards. So we got that goal. We've gotten that goal 9 out of 10 times. KOR, average starting point, 35-yard line. This game, it was the 46-yard line, which is great. We've gotten that goal 5 out of 10 times, so it hasn't been the strength. If the kickoff team is representative of the defense and helps the defense, the kickoff return team obviously is representative of the offense and gives us points and good field position. So like to see that improve throughout the playoffs. No turnovers, missed PATs, or field goals, 5 for 5, including Dylan's 40-yard, 39-yard, depending on who's counting.
Let's go with 40.
Oh, fine.
We're
40.
Optimistic.
It sounds better, and
positive.
It's a great psalm in the Bible too, Psalm 40. And you too, Bono sings Psalm 40.
That's right.
It's a great song. They used to end every concert.
You be 40, and we can go on with 40.
All right, fine. All right, let's just keep it rolling.
I'm 40.
Oh, you are. Good for you.
A little bit-ish.
Yes. So we were 4 for 4 on special teams. Okay.
That's great.
That's a good start. Defense, 17 points or less, 7. So we got that goal. 3 and outs, 4. So we got that goal. The chaos, 20% chaos. So that's, people jumping off sides, fumbles, sacks, picks, pass deflections, TFLs, penalties greater than 10. So, Sam or someone like that sets the edge and they're trying to run sweep and they hold them. That's chaos for the other team. Now that's 1st and 20 or whatever. 53% chaos, which is the highest it's ever been in one game. 53%. So every other play, something bad was happening for the opponent.
Right.
Which in our goal is 20%. So they're way over that right now. And on the season, it's just it's an absolute ridiculously percentage. We are at 32% for the year on chaos, which is great. Yeah. And we've gotten that goal 9 out of 10 times. So we have a talented defense that's showing up in the statistics. 2 takeaways or more. This has been a goal that's plagued us. We've only got it 5 out of 10 times with this great defense. We did get that goal. We had 2 takeaways. So we are currently 4 for 4 on the defense and 8 for 8. Special teams on the year. This is a good time to pause. Many seasons are over right now, except for teams who make the playoffs. So what happened after 10 games? Special teams was 30 of 40 for 75%. So that's the metric. Anything above 75% is almost in a unique category. The defense is 31 of 40 for 78% on the year. So they're over that 75% margin, continuing to climb each week. They've gone, the last 5 weeks, they've gone 75, 75, 75, 100, 100. So those
are pretty impressive.
It's extremely impressive. And I think I'll get to the summary of all this in a second here. Okay. So then offense, we had 11 drives, 25 first downs. So we want to get 1.7 first downs per drive. We had 1.98. We got that goal. 2 turnovers or less. We did have 2. And some people would argue, like some coaches on this podcast that listen to this would say 2 turnovers. That's kind of a lot. And arguably, I would say, like, if I was to do this 7 years ago or 10 years ago when we started this thing, I'd probably make it 1. But when we started this statistical stuff, we were running the option. And the exchange rate and everything that we're doing, there was just a lot of balls on the ground, and I don't know, it's arguable, but and I'm willing to take that. But we have 2 on offense, 2 on defense. That equals 0. So if you're evening out each week, then that's probably a good thing. Although a lot of people say you need to be in the plus category, +1, +2, +3. So you have more takeaways than you have giveaways, and your win percentage goes through the roof, which I get. Okay. Anyway, just I'm humbling here myself. It could be. So we did have 2 turnovers or less, so we got that goal, and we've gotten that goal 7 out of 10 games, which is good. We have the average 1.7 first downs per drive, 7 out of 10 games, which is really good.
That's really good.
Yep. Score 75% inside the 25. We were 2 for 2, so it's 100%. We've gotten that 8 out of 10 times this year, which is fantastic. So we get to the red zone. We've scored in every single game. We've gotten to the red zone except De La Salle, which is notorious for fumbling inside the 5 there twice, whatever.
They're kind of in a league of their own. We've said that.
Yeah. Thankfully, we found a way to score, 24 points and have enough more than them, which is good. And then we were 0 for 2 against St. Ignatius. So those are the 2 ones we did not get. And then 12% rule, which is any fumble, sack, penalty, drop, pick divided by total number of plays. This is the one that's always kind of in jeopardy. And I will tell the story now. So only one team in the history of Serra has gotten 12 of 12. So currently, right now, as I'm giving this to you, we're 11 of 12 with a 12% rule, okay? And this is how I presented it in chapel. We did a Monday team meeting. There's no really kind of tight spaces, so we meet in the chapel now. It's getting cold. So we had a chapel without a chapel, just a team meeting. And I went through this, and we're at 11 of 12. And we had 2 fumbles, 0 sacks, 3 penalties, 0 drop passes, 1 pick, divided by 50 plays is 12%. So we got 12 for 12.
Wow.
So the 2020 team that beat St. Francis here was 12 of 12. That was the first time it's ever happened. It's the second time it's ever happened, which tells me 2 things right now. Number one, anyone would state you want to play your best football when it matters the most. You want to have life lessons and learning lessons and winning and losses and learning and losses and learning and wins and all that funky stuff is great until week 10 when the playoffs start, basically week 11, week 12. Now you want to be playing your best football. You want everything hammering on all cylinders, offense, defense, special teams, spirituality, team, academics, no drama, solely focused on one thing, and that's being the best human you can be, the best student athlete you can be. And to go 12 of 12 week 10 is a hopeful sign for the playoffs. That's what I like the best. That's number 2. Number 1, what I like the best about this is when we clinched the WCL championship at SI, everyone was kind of down. It was really, we were disappointed.
It wasn't promoted, that's for sure. I mean, in terms of like self-promoted,
it wasn't.
Nobody was out there like, we're the winners. I mean, it was just.
It wasn't that way, largely because of some historical events where we've done that before and then lost week 10, and there was always trepidation about that. But there was an internal disappointment, I think, for the team because they knew we didn't play our best game against SI that night. There was internal disappointment.
Well, there's your win.
That's a win.
Additional win.
Thank you, Amy. You're catching on.
I am slowly.
You're so, my goodness gracious. We're going to switch this next week. You're going to give the...
I'd love to do the goals. That's something I can handle.
Let's do it.
Kidding. I can barely understand them.
Okay. All right. You're showing humility, Amy. You're doing a great job. Okay. And then after the Valley or the last game, Sacred Heart, we had clinched it. We were 10-0, and people were like, yeah, it's great. Whatever. It was just, it didn't feel like, let's get the Gatorade out and dump it on the coach. And we did it, which I kind of remarked on Saturday night, Sunday, like, what's missing here? I don't know. Just something was not necessarily missing, but that championship feeling that you did it never happened, which I like, because the first time I felt like this team felt like champions was when I read that 12th goal.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
When I read that 12th goal in chapel, they went nuts.
Oh, good.
They jumped out of their chairs. They were hugging each other because they were so proud to do something. And we did something that's never been done, according to some people, not my wife and kids, but
10-0, that's never been done. Yeah. We'll go with that one.
Okay, we'll do it. But it's only been done one time by a very special team and very unique circumstances with that whole COVID drama. They came out and they poured it out, and they did 5 games, right? I mean, it was like a short season. There's a lot. They played a perfect game against St. Francis. Absolutely perfect game. It'll never be. It's the standard, and these guys met that standard.
It's so amazing.
And they literally jumped out of their chairs. And to me, no matter what happens this week against Palma, that's how I'm going to remember this team.
Awesome.
That's how I'm going to remember this team, because they're learning that the scoreboard doesn't matter. Like, our scoreboard matters. What is our scoreboard? Our scoreboard is our goals, our grades, which, by the way, we graded at 89%, which is the highest of the year. Okay, the highest we've ever been graded is 90%, so almost there. So to focus on internal motivation that's devoid of the scoreboard is something that's very, very hard to do, because we've talked about this all year long, about the ego as an enemy and all these different things, and nobody knows about this. I mean, we talk about it on the podcast, but this isn't something that's going to be written down forever.
You're not going to know when you go watch a game that this is
you're not going to know.
Intensity here.
No,
right?
what was my grade at left tackle last week? Oh, man, it was a 78. I'm disappointed. It could have been better, right?
Absolutely.
Regardless of the score. So I think as we complete the regular season and the clock hits 0, we reset it, but the countdown clock hits 0, it's time to look at it. And I would say, for me, the memory of the 2022 Padres is that team meeting where we read that we went 12 for 12. And I think that was great. So overall on the year, we are now 71% as a team.
Wow.
Climbing towards that 75% metric, which don't know if anyone's ever had it, but I know the 2019 team was 74% overall for the entire year. They played in the state championship against Corona Del Mar. So that's something we can still shoot for. And obviously this time of year, Amy, it's do or die. It is, right. There's a different level of like tension, and it's like a fiber inside me and the team where it's like, we are literally fighting for our lives.
It's a one and done. I mean, there's no
Correct.
Promise.
Palma is fighting for their lives. Jeff Carnazzo, one of my great friends. I love Jeff Carnazzo. I hated when I saw this draw here. This is Jeff Carnazzo, and I go.
You kind of claimed it though. You
back.
said a few weeks ago. You're like, what if it's Palma?
I know.
And here we are.
Yeah.
So you had a vision. Well,
yeah.
Getting back to that, it's awesome that you feel that your team has dug so deep and is really just owning, their performance and their dedication and all that stuff. So I think that's really cool. And congratulations to the coaches, to you, to the team,
Thank you.
to all the players, the dedication. We all see it as fans, and we're excited for this weekend. Tell me though, just building off that this week. Now we're here. We're approaching the game on Saturday. What is the tenor on the field? How are the boys? Are they, are they serious? Are they continuing to?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the focus so far this week has been good. This is and I journaled this morning. I think people should journal. I think it's fun. Like I just started doing this about 6 months ago, just writing things down, writing thoughts down. I wish I had done it like my whole life.
I know, right?
But I was thinking about that whole concept, right? Like, I wish I had started yoga when I was 14, because if I started yoga at 14, think how whatever I would be at 47, right? And I don't think that's necessarily fair to my 47-year-old self, because as an 87-year-old, I could be saying, what if I started yoga at 47?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
You could be
that's
14.
40 years.
If you were 14 starting yoga in our day and age, I think people would be like, what a dork. I'm just kidding.
Maybe.
It's very cool now. No,
Actually,
I'm just kidding. But no one knew of yoga. I'm saying the sign of the times, right? I mean, a lot of people did know of yoga. It's a long-standing, reflective, meditative process. But I'm just saying it wasn't trendy. So that's all I meant by that.
There was no core power yoga.
Everyone's like, let's go shoot hoops. You're like, I'm doing yoga.
Right.
I might not have them my friends. That's all.
Still might be that way. But
don't live in regret. You taught me that.
I know. Don't do it. Don't do it. So I literally was in yoga class, and I just completed my 90th class, which I'm so proud of. That's awesome. And this woman goes, yeah, I've completed my 1,700th. I'm like, okay, got a ways to go there.
Wow. That's funny.
Her legs behind her head.
Someone's always going to be better.
It's like, well, good job. Good for you. I'm proud of you. So I think
you were journaling?
Yeah, I was journaling. I don't remember now. I've lost my train of thought.
We're going reflective, because I was just going to move into the Walsh era, and I was going to ask you I was going to go with call-out questions, and then I'm like, I have a few questions I think people want to know, and that is you do a great job of humbling yourself and always giving it to the team, the coaches. On a personal level, I mean, you've done, as the head coach, you've done something that no one's done before, right? I mean, how do you feel? I mean, what does this record mean to you? You're 22 years in, and, we've talked a lot about the program that you thought you wanted to build when you were 26 years old starting here. But I mean, as you reflect on these, more than 2 decades, this is a big achievement. And how do you feel about it personally?
Man, I wish I felt better, Amy. Maybe it's just it's a time issue on when to reflect. I don't think it's time for that.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, that's a good answer.
Yeah, I know the minute I hit pause, it's a recipe for disaster. So there's a time to pause, there's a time to look back, there's a time to reflect. And while I'm hopeful that people enjoy it, I'm not going to be that guy right now. And this is not to detract from what's been accomplished, but I know if we go 10-1, I don't want to have any regrets about going 10-1. And right now I'm not, because I'm not sitting here thinking about how great. I mean, I am celebrating one thing, and I'm vocal about it, is what happened in Chapel when they met their goals at 100%. That I'll celebrate, and I'll brag about that. And I also brag this year about our team GPA 3.42. Those are the 2 things that I will sit there and talk in coffee shops and brag all day long. What we did on offense, defense, special teams, scoreboard, 10-0, none of that stuff matters to me at all right now. It will matter someday.
Sure.
Right now, it doesn't matter at all. As I reflect back on what happened in 2020, what we did in that St. Francis game means everything to me. It means everything to this program, and how those kids didn't quit when the state quit on them. We didn't quit on that team. No one quit. I'll never forget them. I'll celebrate the 2020 team, 2021, things that happened in 2012, whatever. That's fine. Right now is not time to celebrate. This is not time to do it. It's time to really, really dive even deeper into the bonds and the love and the brotherhood that we have on this team, because, Palma's got a great team.
Totally.
And I know Coach Carnazzo, he has 200 wins, over 200 wins in the CCS. This is not a losing organization. We have lost to Palma before. And if it happens, it's going to be done with a pure heart.
Awesome.
And short of that,
I'm going to take these reflective questions. I was just going to say, and we'll hit them back in when we're in 2023, reflecting on 2022.
Let's do it.
Postseason.
I like it. Good plan.
But let's talk about this weekend. And I do appreciate that. I just, you don't give yourself enough credit, so that's my job too. So okay. So this weekend we play Palma of Salinas. It's a all boys Catholic school, 6 through 12. We play them at 1:00 at home. They are the Chieftains. I guess Salinas, who is playing Sacred Heart Prep on Friday night, I guess they crushed their 8-game winning streak recently. And the only other team that Palma has lost to is Midi.
Correct.
A team we beat by 28 points. So tell me a little bit about Palma.
So they lost the first game of the year and the last game of the year. In between that, they won 8 games in a row. Very young team. And they're a young, overachieving team, which is dangerous because they found a way to beat Aptos and other teams in their league that they were not supposed to beat.
Santa Cruz, right? They crushed them. Like 38 to
and this is not like rare for Palma. Again, like when we played these guys in the early 2000s, it was an absolute war. Both games we played, it was great. And then Coach and I got to a point where let's just not play each other unless we have to.
All right.
But number 19 is a great player. He's a Division I player, has multiple offers, Big 12 offers, Big 10 offers, Pac-12 offers. I mean, he's a fantastic wide receiver. And I feel like there's just in the playoffs and in the regional championships, we've played some amazing receivers. A lot of them are playing on Saturday right now. Some of them are going to be playing on Sundays. These are just fantastic wide receivers, and we got another one coming to Serra this week.
Very cool.
They have a very stout defense. Many of their guys play 2 ways. They're tough guys. And that's kind of always the nature of a Palma Coach Carnazzo team. They are tough individuals.
Is it a large team? I'm just curious.
40 to 50 kids, I think.
So a small team, but by our measure.
By our measure, yeah. They don't have as many numbers at the moment. But just it's a thing where we have a lot of one-way guys, and it's always been our advantage. And if our one-way guys do what they're supposed to do, then that's an advantage for us. And I remind those kids all the time about it. We condition as we're two-way players, but at the end of the day, we're one-way players. And this is a 48-minute game. Mm-hmm. Going back to, hey, why didn't you start better? Like, yeah, I get it. We need to start better.
I'm never asking that question
Don't
again.
ask it ever again. Well,
but people have said that they're happy I asked that question, just so you know. They wanted to
give me the hard ones, and I'll give you the truth back.
Give you all of them.
Give me all of them. That's good. No, we need to start better. The expectations are high. So, but for us, it's a 1:00 game. It's hopefully going to be sunny, and it's 48 minutes of football. And we need to play. once again, shoot for the highest grade we can. We've never graded at 90% this year. Maybe we get a 90% grade. Maybe we get 12 of 12 again. No one's ever done it twice in a year. Just keep pushing to be the best we can be.
Awesome. Well, I was just reading up on them. The last time we played them was in 2014, as you said, I guess not really early 2000s, in a consolation game, and we beat them 28-14, right? And then I know you love consolation games. And then another thing is the Chieftains haven't beaten a WCAL team in the playoffs since 2010. That was my little football math that I thought I'd bring to the table. Since you get so deep with the goals, I thought I'd bring some stats myself. But
so I've forgot the 2014 game. It's the worst win in Serra history because I don't know if we even want to go down this rabbit hole, but it led to us forfeiting. So we won, and by nature of winning, we got to play the next week, and we ended up being 1-2 in the playoffs, which I looked at that the other day, like, how do you go 1-2 in the playoffs? You should be something in 1 or something in 0.
Right.
Because in football, when you lose, it's over.
Right, it should be done, yeah.
And that wasn't the case in 2014. We went down to Salinas on Thanksgiving weekend. It was terrible. We won, which was terrible. It led us to this championship 5th place game, which I have to say for the record, the way I presented it was wrong in the sense that it came out, we don't play for 5th place at Serra. That's the way it came out, and it alienated my teammates in the CCS. What I meant to say was, or what I meant, the feeling, a true feeling I had was, why are human beings playing for 5th place in football? This isn't, softball or baseball where you play consolation games, and it's football, meaning there's tendons involved and concussions and shoulders. And I didn't do a very good job back then of expressing the fact that I didn't feel like this game should be played because of the futures of our kids, many of which at Milpitas High School and Serra at that time were going to play Division I. And not that a Division I ACL is any more important than someone who's not playing Division I. And I know I got to a point, the timing was awful. I get it. And Friday morning at 3 a.m., in my conscience, in my soul, I woke up Lindsay, I go, I can't put the team on the bus. I can't do it. In my conscience, I can't do it. Not because Serra doesn't play for 5th place. Obviously, we weren't good enough. We lost to Los Gatos 24-0. We weren't good enough. That's okay. Right. I hope that I've made that very clear on this podcast. It's okay to lose. It is. We learn. We get better. We improve. We deal with the pain. We move on. Life is hard. The obstacle is the way. Okay? This is the way it goes. So, I don't know. So I actually talked to Jeff about it this week. I said, this is a game I actually want to win, Jeff. That game did not want to win. He goes, yeah, I know. I remember that. It was a tough situation. Very tough. And the good news is 24 hours later, they dropped the consolation game. The bad news is we took a year off of the playoffs because we got banned from the playoffs. That's right. And it was like we got banned from the playoffs, and since that point, we've won CCS in 2016, 2017, 2019. I think we would have won it in 20, and we won it in 21. So maybe the obstacle is the way. Maybe that was the best thing ever happened to Serra. Sure. Maybe we had to beat Palma that day, and maybe we had to go through the struggle and the suffer of forfeiting, sitting out a year in the playoffs to prove to everyone how important this is for us in terms of proving like what type of program we have in terms of we don't do this for what I just said. We do this because we truly love one another. We truly love it. We love the journey. We love the aspect of being able to go on the field and prove that we can have 5 straight games now without a personal foul. Okay, remember that whole deal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just so upsetting. It's so upsetting. And we're not perfect. Don't get me wrong. There's people out there, oh my God, those Padres think we're not perfect.
No, you're constantly realigning your goals. You're constantly
but you know what? Just I think what's been proven time and time again is how much we love these families and these kids, and we being the staff in this school. 100%. And I will lay down in front of a massive truck to defend these kids, all kids. But the kids that I'm most responsible for are these ones here. And if we got to take a bullet for them, we're going to do it. I'm running to the action, not from it. And there's been a couple of times in the history here where we've actually done that. So Thank you for bringing up 2014. So when I said early 2000s, I had mindfully forgot of the 14 game. We did play him in early 2000s.
But there you go. Well, good. Well, no, I love that. And the love that you have and the love that the coaches have, I should have mentioned, was exemplified at Senior Day last week as well. That was a really great celebration. So thank you all for taking the time to do that before the game. One question I didn't do a call out this week, but one question that I've heard from many of my friends and people that I know that we do the podcast together. Do you ever do predictions? The brackets came out, and we know that Salinas and Sacred Heart Prep in Atherton are playing Friday night. Do you do predictions? Because we'll play the winner, or Palma will play the winner of that game.
Right.
And so do you predict? Do you have any predictions?
I do not.
Do you ever? Okay. I didn't think you would, but I was like,
I do not.
See, just in case.
No.
All right, awesome. Well, that
we
game,
have our
I
own
think,
issues.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the winner of that game plays the winner of our game, and we're excited to have everybody back here, 1 o'clock. Our cheerleaders will be out here. I think the band will be out here. It's going to be 1 o'clock. Everybody, just for our fans and listeners, it is not a WCAL game, so everybody must have a ticket to enter. There's no WCAL passes, nothing like that. Yep. So we hope to see you out here 1 o'clock.
Let's go.
It's going to be a good one. So thank you, Coach, for your time.
Thank you, Amy.
And thank you, Chris, for our blocks. And go Padres.
Thank you.
Thank you.